Welcome back, everyone. We missed you all. It's been a while. Parker and I have been taking a break, but we are back at least for this because if you listen to our talk on the Alien Romulus teaser, this was my most anticipated movie of the year. I'm so excited, and we have a very special guest, Michael Vogel. Welcome back. We had him on months ago, and it was one of my favorite episodes to record. So, of course, we had to ask him to come back on. Michael, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me back. I'm really excited. I know how excited you were for this movie, and as someone who
Yes.
is who the Alien franchise is high on my list of favorite franchises, I'm very
Me
excited to
too.
talk about it. Even though I think we're not going to agree on everything, but I'm excited to not agree with you and discuss it. So it's going to be an interesting
Yeah.
conversation.
No, I
Oh
definitely
man.
I have a lot to say about this movie. I have a lot of things I loved. I have a lot of things I didn't like, and I'm ready for it. That's what this is about. That's what this is all about. Parker, how have you been? I guess I don't know. You,
How have I
you're
been?
good,
Like
right?
post Alien Romulus or pre Alien Romulus?
You already took too long to answer. Anyways, let's just get back
Fair
into
enough.
it. Okay.
Fair enough. Michael, I
So
will ask you, and Broen, I want you to say yours as well. But
okay.
so just out of the gate, if you were to rate this out of 10 or out of 10, where are you at after seeing this movie?
What is Alien Romulus on a scale of 1 to 10?
For you, yeah.
Bro, and you go first.
Okay, so when I left, I've only seen it once. I'm going again tonight, literally right after we're done with this. I'm going straight to the theater to watch it again, and I'm super excited. When I left the theater, I was so conflicted. I was like, that was a solid 7, and then I had the weekend to think about it, and I'm kind of scooting it up to like a 7.5 to an 8 because I just realized that even though there's a lot of things I didn't like about it, the things that I liked about it, I really liked about it. So I'm sitting at like
Mm.
a 7.5, 8 out of 10 right now.
Okay. I'm probably between 6.5 and 7 is where I'm gonna
Okay.
land on it. So actually, as excited as you are, maybe we're gonna agree on a lot of the things because I think we're both sort of hovering around where here's the real question is in the best to worst of Alien movies, like how you rate the franchise,
Mm.
where do you slot Alien Romulus in? I think that's the better
Yeah.
indicator of like where does this fall in the franchise of what is
Yeah.
Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection, Prometheus
Resurrection,
Covenant, and
Prometheus,
this.
Alien versus Predator. Can't forget that.
We're not even that yeah, and then Alien versus Predator and Alien versus Predator Requiem if you're gonna add those. Yeah.
Cinema.
Do you
Yeah.
have your ranking like ready to go
100%
there?
I do. 100% I do. I actually did a YouTube video on this not too long ago, and then I finally was able to post my Romulus review on my channel where I placed this movie in that ranking as well. Do you want the whole ranking or just where I put
Just give it to me.
Romulus?
Lay it out. Like lay it on me.
All
Lay it
right.
on me right now.
All right. So last place, no surprise, Alien versus Predator or Requiem. Requiem? Alien versus Predator Requiem. Yeah, I really don't have anything good to say about that movie. It's bad. Second to last place is Resurrection. I really don't like what they did with Ripley's character. That's my biggest gripe. I also hate the ending, with the newborn. I think it's just kind of stupid. Also, it's just very much a Joss Whedon script, and I'm not the biggest fan of Joss Whedon aside from like Firefly and the Avengers movies. And then sixth place, AVP. I've mentioned this a couple of times, I think on the podcast and on my YouTube channel, but AVP was actually my introduction to Alien because it's the only one that's PG-13. So it's the one my dad showed me first when I was like 5 or 6 or whenever it came out. And then Alien Covenant. I have my issues with that movie. I think it has a few good moments, but overall, I don't like knowing where the xenomorphs came from. Fourth place, Alien 3. I used to hate this movie. I've warmed up to it this past year because I've revisited it, and I get the love. I totally get the love. I still can't really forgive it for that opening, but for what it did
Yep.
to
Yep.
aliens, yeah. But aside from that, looking past that as just a Ripley driven story, it's pretty good. Number 3 is Prometheus. Prometheus is not my number one pick when it comes to when I want to watch an alien movie, but for a movie on its own as like a cosmic horror epic, it's pretty solid. I have, it's not what I was wanting it to be, but as what it is, it's fine. And number two, I have, or sorry, actually, no, coming up next now, I have Alien Romulus. Now is Alien
Right.
Romulus, because this is it feels like an alien movie more than all of the others that I've named. This is it wasn't everything I was wanting an alien movie to be, now that we're getting back to the roots of the franchise, but it is the most alien feeling movie we've gotten since these two originals, which are two of my favorite movies of all time. Number two being Alien. I love everything about this movie. My favorite things about it though is the environment. I love the Nostromo. I love the derelict ship. This movie is beautiful to watch. And then of course number one, James Cameron's Aliens, roller coaster of a movie. I will never forget the first time I watched it. It's my second favorite movie of all time after Star Wars, the original Star Wars, A New Hope.
Wow.
So I tie the original trilogy for number one, but when people say like, "What's your number one?" I'll say it's A New Hope. So
Yeah,
really, I guess
that
you
makes
could
sense.
say that Aliens is my my third favorite, or no, fourth favorite. But I'm not gonna. Yeah. Anyways, so that's my ranking.
Okay, so really quick, and then we'll dive into Alien
Yes.
Romulus. But really quick,
Perfect.
we're a little bit different, but mainly in our opinions of Prometheus and Covenant. Number last is AVP Requiem.
Yeah.
But then Alien Covenant and Prometheus are my least favorite. Amazingly made movies. They look beautiful. Ridley Scott is an amazing director. I hate that story so much, and I hate this. Like I can't. Prometheus drives me crazy. Then Aliens versus Predator, which arguably is a less well-made movie and is pretty stupid, and is PG-13, which an Alien and Predator movie should not be. But Aliens and Predators together make me happy, and I could watch it on a Saturday afternoon and be like, fine.
If I said I did not enjoy Alien versus Predator even a little bit, that'd be a fat fucking lie.
Right.
Like there's
So
something
that's the
about that
bottom.
movie. Yeah.
That's the bottom. Then Alien Resurrection, which don't think is a good movie, but there's moments of it that I have a soft spot for. Even Charlie the Big White Alien, as I call him, because he's so weird and it's so gross. But I'm just like, yeah, okay. That movie goes off the rails. It goes off the rails. Ripley's character is weird. The whole thing is weird. It's just a weird movie. It's not good. It's the least good actual alien movie that doesn't have predators or weird slime and weird alien shit that Ridley Scott does. But then I'm really kind of torn about Alien 3 and Alien Romulus and which one beats out which one, because I agree with you. I saw Alien. I am older. I saw Alien 3 in movie theaters when it came out. And when I tell you the level of disappointment when you go to a movie theater and you're so excited and two of your favorite characters from the last movie die in the opening credits, I hated that movie for years. Now when I watch it, once you get past that part of it, it's a really interesting David Fincher movie. And there's some really
absolutely.
And Ripley's arc in it, like Sigourney Weaver is acting for the rafters in that movie. It's like there's so much that's interesting about it that I really actually do have. I'm one of those people that does have a soft spot for Alien 3. And Alien Romulus, I like a lot of it. A lot of it drives me crazy. I think it has some major weaknesses to it. So those two are sort of right there neck and neck. And then I'm with you. Then it goes Alien, and then it goes Aliens, which is one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time. And Aliens just cannot be beat. Like, it is, of all cinema, Aliens is in my top 5 of all time. So that is where we're at. So we're mostly similar. You give Prometheus a little bit more love than I do, but other than that, I think we're pretty much on the same page.
I have a question for you. Do you remember hearing, or did you hear about? There's no way you didn't hear about it. Do you remember the Neil Blomkamp Alien movie that almost came to be? Did you? Would you rather have had that, a movie that takes place immediately after Aliens, retconning 3 and 4, bringing back Ripley, bringing back Newt, bringing back Hicks, and being a more Aliens, like Colonial Marines type movie? Would you have preferred that over Romulus?
Here's the thing about retconning is it's just, once something is done, it's done. Like, we live in this
Yeah.
world now of director's cuts and retconning and this and that and the other thing, and I kind of feel like there's, like, little retconning that you can do. Like, you wanna change Ki-Adi-Mundi's age in the Star Wars universe and make him born 20 years before he was supposed to? Cool. I don't care.
Right.
But going, "Hey, in the '90s, these 2 characters that we loved were killed. Let's just do a take back 30 years later." I'm kind of like, no, I think where they went and what Fede Alvarez did, it's like, look, let's take the best of these franchises and give us a new story with new characters.
Yeah.
I think going back, you're just sort of, at a certain point, you're just trying to please a bunch of people that, why? Like, just give a new audience something new. Give a new audience characters to fall in love with. Give a new audience an introduction to the xenomorph. And so I think in that respect, Alien Romulus did some really cool stuff.
I totally agree. I remember I was pretty bummed when they canned the Neil Blomkamp one because I was I think like 14 or 15 when that was like, when the wheels really started turning on that movie. And then it was canned and I was pretty disappointed, but then when I found out that we were getting this movie and I realized what they were doing with this movie, I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
super down for this now." So
Now, Parker,
Parker,
how deep are you into all this? Do you have a
Yes.
ranking of all the Aliens movies, or are you like, guys, y'all keep your rankings. Let's move on. What do you have one?
So I'm not in the same boat as you guys. I've only seen Alien, Aliens, and now Alien Romulus.
Okay, so
And
you
that's
can
on-
rank those 3.
I can, and that's on purpose. I have no interest in the other ones, only because of everything I've heard. I really appreciate what the first 2 did, and I don't really want it ruined, and I've been told it kind of will ruin it for me. And I might get there at some point. They're technically on my watch list, but I'm in no rush.
So
I
I
think
were
if
to-
anything, you should watch Alien 3, if anything.
Yep.
That
I was
was-
gonna say, so
yeah, yeah.
I'm low key. I'm sort of dating a guy right now. We're not officially dating. We're sort
Let's
of dating.
go.
But
Let's
Right.
do it.
one of the things that we did leading up to Alien Romulus is he had never seen any Alien movies or any Predator movies. So we have been
wow.
going
Ooh.
through those, and we did Alien, Aliens, and Predator, and then we were gonna do Prey, but then he was like, "Look, I know that Newton Hicks died. I want to see Alien 3," and he actually really liked it.
Interesting. Well, I'm a bit.
I think when you
love
go
David
in knowing,
Fincher,
I think when you go
so-
in knowing why everybody hates Alien 3 and why it is so poorly received,
Mhm.
given what it does, once you just get past that piece of it, it's actually a cool movie. I think, in my opinion, my humble opinion.
I like David Fincher a lot, so I assume there will be things that I'll like about it, whether or not it's Alien.
And this is
stuff
his
or
first
Fincher
movie.
stuff.
This is his first
Yeah.
movie.
Oh, I honestly didn't know that. That's
He-
crazy.
He,
But if
he
I
was
were
just
to,
doing music videos before this.
that's
That's
wild.
kind of part of it too, is like in retrospect, going back, what it did to the Alien franchise is one lens to look at Alien 3, but this was the beginning of Fincher's career is another. And when you look at it as a David Fincher film, you go, "Oh yeah, no, this makes sense. This tracks.
Yeah.
That's
This
so
is
fascinating,
definitely David
honestly.
Fincher's world."
That's
Yes.
crazy.
Yes.
That one at some point I will get to these movies, but like I'm just in no rush. I know there are other movies that I need to get to first. But if I were to rank the 3 that I've seen, I would say, oh, you guys are probably gonna hate me. I would say Alien is number 1. Alien Romulus is number 2.
Whoa.
Aliens is number 3. But I will say
Whoa.
Alien Romulus is very fresh, and Aliens I've only seen once. So
Okay.
I was the
Aliens
one that made him
rewatch-
watch it.
Yeah, he made me watch it. I will. My opinion could change because I
Okay.
have more issues with Romulus that we'll get into than I do with Aliens. If
All
I
right,
were
well,
to-
let's get
look
into
them
it.
up.
Alien Romulus.
I say we talk about what we didn't like so that we can end this episode on such a high note, because there's plenty of stuff
Okay.
that I think we all loved
Okay.
that we're super excited to talk about. I will
Okay.
say, and I think you will both agree with me on this, overall my biggest issue with something that was throughout the movie was just the fan service, the playing it safe, the dialogue, some of the lines being thrown in that were from previous movies. Like, I mean, this is kind of towards the end of the movie, but when Andy comes in on the 0G, shoots the alien, says, "Get away from her." And then there's that pause. And I'm sitting there like, oh, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. And then he said it, "You bitch." And I was like,
Yeah.
motherfuckers, you can't think of, you can't give us another cool one-liner that we can say?
That stuff didn't bother me a ton. I mean, obviously I knew that one, but I feel like there are probably other things that I didn't catch because I haven't, like I said, seen the later Alien movies.
mhm.
So I wouldn't say the fan service bothered me, but I definitely want to get into, especially how Michael feels about it, the playing it safe. Uh, because Fede Alvarez, I think, could have made a cooler and better Alien movie without Ridley Scott breathing down his neck. You know what I mean? What do you think?
Yeah, there was like a bunch of like look, there's some great stuff in this movie. And to be
Oh yeah,
clear, there's a lot of things in Alien Romulus that I liked. I didn't come out of this movie going, "Man, they fucked up my favorite franchise." I
no,
kind of
no,
came
no,
out
no.
I
Right.
went in so excited cuz everyone had been like, "Oh my god, it's amazing, it's amazing, it's amazing." And then I kind of came out and was like, "It's good."
Yeah,
Really quick on the fan service front, I that's not my biggest complaint, but in a lot of ways they did the right amount of fan service. I do think the "get away from her, you bitch" was a step too far. It just didn't really feel
yeah,
justified, and
yeah.
you did it didn't feel earned. And if it like
No.
somebody who really liked the movie pointed out to me that I guess Broen, no, you're Broen. Who's that one character? Bjorn. What's the
Bjorn,
guy's name?
yeah.
The guy Bjorn. Like
Bjorn,
Bjorn, I
yeah.
guess, does call Andy a bitch several times earlier on, and that was sort of on the script on the page. It probably looked like, oh, he was called a bitch, he said bitch, but it just didn't feel earned. Um, this playing it safe, I do feel like whether it be Ridley Scott breathing down his neck or Disney being like, we want rated R, but we don't want hard R, like it just didn't feel like it felt particularly as the movie went on, it felt like Fede Alvarez was being held back. Like the way
Yeah,
that I was
A
describing it
little
to a
bit.
friend of mine is I was like, when you have a horror movie, which is what Alien in effect is, at its core, you want that like the tension to keep rising, the complications to keep building. Like let's like oh let's like you're stuck and it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse. And with Alien, that works beautifully. Like even the pacing of people getting killed like speeds up, like it just gets ramped
yeah,
up.
yeah,
Mhm.
Aliens, I think, does an amazing job of it too. It's like, okay, we were all attacked by aliens. Oh my God, we're fucked. Let's get off of the planet. Oh, we're stuck on the planet. Now we have a plan to get off the planet. We're going to blow up the planet. No, I got to go back for new, like this whole thing. This, it was like we got on the station, we got impregnated. There was a xenomorph running around. And then it just sort of felt like it plateaued, and it plateaued at an intense place. There was still some really great sequences, but it kind of is like once we sort of set up the all right, in 30 minutes we're going to hit the asteroid belt, that was the thing. And it was like it almost felt like they were just kind of wandering around the ship to avoid aliens, but it didn't really feel like it got more tense, more tense, more tense until you got to
yeah.
the end with the babe alien that was birthed, and then that whole thing. But yeah, so I just felt like it did feel like there was like it just felt restrained is the right word. It just felt like it was being held back from what it wanted to be at a certain point, and I
Yeah.
really wanted
Mhm.
it to cut loose.
Yeah, I totally agree. Have you seen the Evil Dead remake that he did?
I've not, but I
Okay,
heard it was
so
Ooh,
intense.
it's
super good.
it's so much, okay? It's a lot. And so I didn't expect the same amount of a lot, but I expected more creativity from Fede because I've seen what he can do with a different franchise coming in later. And so I was just like, "Oh, a lot of these decisions just seem I don't want to upset Ridley kind of thing." Or
And
like
I'm
I don't know, like
also I have one complaint about the movie that's my biggest complaint that is not either of these. But while we're on this
oh,
subject,
okay.
Okay.
I do think that I talk to my friends a lot about this, especially some of my screenwriting friends. Is there's good decisions and there's bad decisions. So there's a lot of movies we could be like, this was a horrible idea.
Yeah.
This movie had a lot of this was a good idea and I wanted more. And the two prime examples to me of this are I thought the entire sequence of them raising the temperature of the room to 98 degrees and then walking through to avoid the face huggers and not wanting to sweat and not wanting to like that was great, and I thought that was a good
Mhm.
sequence. Like that's one of my favorite sequences in the movie.
Yeah.
But I felt like they did it, but they didn't push it beyond. Like, what was the raising of it was a great moment, and then they were walking, and he was talking in the thing, and then it was like run, and then they had to chase him and get out of there. But like, I always use Steven Spielberg as an example, as like the guy who just knows how to like take a scene and like just keep adding to it and adding to it. Like, what was that thing where you fall over and Andy grabs you and one drop of sweat is about to fall off and like hit the face, like really raising the tension. Like, it's a great concept, and Fede Alvarez does a really good job. It's a solid scene, but it could have been more. And the
Yeah.
other one for me was the zero G acid, which I think is an absolutely 100% brilliant idea.
Yeah.
And like, people on Twitter can yell at me because I see people being like, this was the best scene, this was cinema, this was great. And I agree that it was great. Like, when it was like, let's do zero G so that we don't eat through the hull of the ship, I was like, great idea. But then she kind of just went through it and it was cool. Again, I wanted that to be like this intense sequence where she kind of did it and she like spun herself around and we got through the acid and then it all dropped and you're like, okay. But like, I felt like that was another place where you could have really just like gotten it. Like, what are the complications that we can make this the craziest scene ever? And so again, like, I think this movie had a lot of really great ideas that were executed well. Like, I don't think it was like, oh, he really whiffed that. Like, those were two of my favorite scenes in the movie, but I like felt like they could have, it's that restrained thing you're talking about. I felt like they really could have, like, you take a set piece and you're like, okay, this is a great set piece. How do we fuck this even more? Like, let's just make this thing crazy. My ultimate example that I bring up always, I'm sure if you've listened to Cinephiles or Geek Buddies, I'm sure I've brought this up on both of them, is Jurassic Park Lost World, which is not the best movie in the world, but the scene where the two T-Rexes attack the trailer that they're in, and then the trailer goes
on the cliff. Yes.
On the cliff, and then Julianne Moore falls to the bottom of the trailer, and she falls on the window on the back of the trailer, and as she's moving, the glass starts cracking, and every time she even moves an inch, it shatters even more, and you're watching its spider web, and the tension goes through the roof. Like, that's kind of that level of, like, even in a subpar Jurassic Park movie, that sequence, I think, is like one of the best Spielberg sequences as far as watching how do you take a scene and add that other element to it that just takes it to a whole other level. And the spider webbing of that glass as she's trying to move and getting her out of that right when the glass shatters, like, that's kind of those things that I felt like were lacking in the facehugger scene and in the zero G scene that could have really turned this into like a fucking, that would have put it above Alien 3 by a mile for me.
Well, and that's why I wasn't disappointed. Like, I think I rated it higher than you guys did. I gave it like an 8 out of 10, honestly, like a generous 8 out of 10. But like, I really enjoyed it for the most part. It's just I've like I mentioned the Evil Dead remake. I've seen him do exactly what you're talking about,
right,
really well.
And by the way, I will say what I did like about this movie is I knew he did Evil Dead. I knew people were big fans of it. I hadn't gone there yet to check it out. Watching this makes me want to go watch Evil Dead even more. So it's like he did it. Like, I'm not knocking what he did in this movie. I want more, and so it makes me want to go see Evil Dead because that's what I've heard.
Yeah, and that's like the only thing.
Don't Breathe as well.
Oh, that's right. Don't Breathe. Yeah. That's right.
Don't Breathe, and has fantastic suspense in it.
That's another great example of what Michael's talking about, is the tension, and we're building and building and building off of, holy shit, this sucks. How can it get worse? And now, so that, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, like, my other big complaint, and you guys might not agree with this since it's not like your number one. I don't think the characters are particularly well developed in this film, with the exception of Andy. Like, with Andy,
Andy was my favorite.
Andy's the best thing in this movie by a mile.
Yes. Andy's better.
Andy's better than the Xenomorphs movies in
general. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. I said Andy's just better than anything in 2024 movies in general. Like,
I mean, Andy is in a franchise where the synthetic is a key part of the ingredient. Like, whether it's Bishop, whether it's, what's Ian Holmes' name in the first Alien movie?
Ash.
Ash. Whether it's Ash, whether it's Bishop, whether it's Winona Ryder in Alien Resurrection, like, the synthetic is an important part of the thing. And I think Andy is the thing out of everything in this movie that it really adds to the mythology of the franchise. As for the other characters, I felt like Rain was fine. Like, she was serviceable. I liked her. I didn't dislike her. I thought she was solid, but I didn't love her. And then with everybody else, Bjorn is the only one who has a distinctive trait, which is I hate synthetics because a synthetic killed my mom.
Right.
Eileen Wu's character is the bald chick who gets impregnated by an alien. And Isabella Merced is the pregnant one.
Yeah.
And
then her brother
Tyler, the other guy, is the hot one.
Yeah.
For me, not for you guys, for me.
I can't argue. I can't argue it.
But I mean, so it's like they, and I think particularly because both Alien and Aliens to me are almost textbook films as far as maximizing character development with minimal lines. Like Aliens, those Marines wake up and like within a minute and a half, James Cameron has been like, she's tough, he's this, he's that.
Yes.
He's that. Like you get who they are, and all of those character beats from Bishop to Burke to Vasquez to Hudson
Drake.
to Hicks to everybody to Gorman to Drake. All of those moments pay off. And so with this, you had far less characters, and it's like, if I really cared, if I knew who they were more, I would have been way more invested, which also would have, I think, upped the tension for me. So I kind of came out going, there was the pregnant one, the alien one, and the other one, except for Andy, who is, like I said, I would put Andy and what they did with him in this movie up against any character in the Alien franchise.
Yeah, it wasn't even just the characters; it was also the relationship between the characters. Like even between the main girl and Andy, I forget her name.
Rain.
That relationship wasn't as like marinated as I wanted it to be. Like it was the best one probably, but like you're saying that everything between the characters was just very base level and like okay.
It's the one that you have the most information on. Like you understand that Rain's dad programmed Andy to protect her. He has been like a big brother to her entire life. Like you get, and she fixes him when he breaks down, and he's kind of his quirks of being a broken synth represent someone who is on the spectrum and has autism to some degree is kind of what they were going for. And so like you do have the most amount of information. You also have the fact that Rain was ready to ditch him, which I think doesn't serve them that well. Like the entire beat of, oh, by the way, we didn't tell Andy, but he can't come to this planet and we're going to ditch him. I'm like,
yeah.
Doesn't make me love you, Rain. Doesn't make me go, I'm rooting for you.
Yeah.
So I do think the characterization is probably even more than the fan service and even more than that feeling of being restrained. I think the characters needed to be a bit more developed to really care.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like just a recipe you had like 80% of the ingredients for. You know what I mean? I just need a little more, some more salt or hot sauce. You know what I mean? Just some more oomph. But I don't think there's anything else that I necessarily disliked about it. Is there anything you guys?
I'm not done. One other thing that I didn't. I'm curious as to how you guys feel about this. Okay. Because there's been a lot of debate about it. Ian Holm playing Rook, or the ghost of Ian Holm playing Rook. The whole concept of, and look, and just to be clear, I mean, Fede Alvarez has been very public about, he went to Ian Holm's family, he asked their permission, they are okay with it, they said it's fine. So like in the world of,
I didn't know that. That's good.
Are you going to resurrect somebody and put them in your movie? I think that they did all the things that you are supposed to do if you're going to do that. I still question whether it's even something we should just, it's like the Jeff Goldblum Jurassic Park quote, just because you can do something doesn't mean, you were so worried about wondering whether you could do something that you didn't stop to think if you should. So like having the synthetic on the space station be another version of Ash named Rook, who is the Ian Holm character, as a callback to that character from the movie. I thought that the CG that they did to bring that to life kind of took me out of it.
It was like a deep fake.
It felt like looking at a deep fake. So I thought just from a basic effects level, it distracted me more than it invested me. And then
Mhm.
I sort of went through an entire thing in my head of like, did this need to be Ash?
No,
Did
I
this,
don't think
was
it
it
did.
so important? Was it so important that this synthetic looked like Ian Holm that you did everything you did? Or could this have just been, could it have been Lance Hendrickson? Could it have been another Bishop? Could it have been this? Could it have been another synthetic
Y-
entirely? Like, did it need to be?
You know who I thought, and I thought I don't know if I think I in my head I think I wouldn't. I don't think I would have minded it. I don't know how to say this. I think I kind of would have liked it if, as someone who did like, I have things about Prometheus that I enjoy. I think it kind of would have been cool if it were David. Like, if this is just the ending story of David, this is how David ended up. Like, he's dead, he's in half, just like everything is the same except it's David. David is the one that I'm like, ooh, that I started thinking of that, and I was like, that kind of would have been cool because there's all these people that want the conclusion to the Prometheus story, and this could serve as that as well, while being the alien callback.
When I tell you that I hate those movies so much that I didn't even think about that. But I actually would have, I think that would have been, I actually think that would have been better than
Yeah.
the Ian Holm thing. So the Ian Holm thing, again, I'm not on the page of like, how dare they? I think this was sacrilegious. Like, he asked if Ian Holm's family is okay with it,
Yeah.
it is what it is. They said it's okay. They're the people that really matter here.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the end of the day, I was like, I don't know that we needed it. So yeah, I think that other
I liked
options might
it.
have been better.
I liked it at first because before you could even really see his face, when he was like turned the other way, I leaned over to my girlfriend and I was like, that looks like Ash. Like, no, I knew it
Yeah.
wasn't going to be Ash, but I was like, that looks like, was it Ian Holmes? That's his name?
Ian Holm, yeah,
Yeah.
Ian Holm.
Yeah, I was like, that looks like the guy that plays Ash. That looks like Ian Holmes. And when they booted him on that first start, I was like, oh, it is cool, awesome. And it was the fact that they kept going back to him that
That's
I was like, okay, it was cool the
that
first
was
time. Now,
Yeah.
at this point, if you're going back and forth with him, that's what makes me think it should have been someone else. It even could have been just an android or just a synthetic
Yeah.
that we've never seen. But then I started thinking, what if it was David?
I
Because
think
they spent so much
you're
time on him.
I think you're 100% right. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Is it would have been cool for one or two scenes, but the fact that he was like so plot important, I was like, this. A lot of the budget could have gone elsewhere. Like, we could have done something different and more interesting here. You know what I mean? But yeah,
I mean, I will
agree.
say, I will say one thing that does make sense, having it be Ash over David, is that Ash is so for the company and David is so for himself. David is very much
Right.
just for creation. And I liked that this movie went back to the evil corporation, because Wayland is the real enemy of these movies.
Mhm.
Yes.
And we've forgotten about that. Because Resurrection, Wayland Yutani was bought out by Walmart in Resurrection. I mean, that movie,
Yeah.
that movie's a
I mean,
joke
look,
to me.
yeah.
So I
Resurrection
like that
makes some choices.
it feels like that movie feels like a parody. But I like that this movie went back to the evil corporation, and so I understand it now. Like, I'm thinking about this now. Like, I'm just now coming to the realization that why it had to be Ash or just a synthetic over David is because David isn't for the company. David
Right.
is
And
anti-company.
that's fair.
So
I bet, like, so yeah, I think that really kind of like it took me out of it. It wasn't exactly it. But I will say, we have now exhausted, for me, the things that really bugged me about the movie. Like, it was literally
yes.
like the callbacks that I think were uncalled for, the characterization, which I thought left a lot to be desired, just feeling a little bit restrained, and the pacing not really amping up, and then the Ian Holm of it all are my four big gripes with the movie.
I'm
Mhm.
with you. I don't.
Mhm.
There were a few. Most of it looked incredible. There were like 2 CG shots where I was like, "What the fuck?" You know?
Yeah.
It was. I think there was. I'm trying to remember specifically. I think it was one of her floating that I was like, "That just looks awful." I honestly don't remember, but other than that, I agree with everything you said, Michael. Bro, do you have anything else that you absolutely hated about this movie?
I will wait until we talk about it because we're probably going to talk about that last act at the end, and I have problems
Oh.
with that last act, so I will wait until we're talking about that last act.
Okay.
The babe alien, the babe alien.
Yeah, the offspring.
Yeah.
I called the scene of Bjorn with the cattle prod in the cocoon, the alien cocoon. I was calling that the alienacy.
Ugh.
Oh God.
Hey, don't ever again.
Ugh.
Okay.
But yeah,
have you guys ever played Peggle?
no.
You've never played Peggle?
That is
well, there's
not what we're talking about.
No, there's a unicorn in that game named Bjorn. Anyway, doesn't matter. Couldn't matter
Got it.
less. Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, hey, did you guys know that my sister's ex-girlfriend was named Tyler? Who cares? Or ex-boyfriend, I mean.
But I will say, I mean, to your point about the effects that don't look good, there was a couple shots that looked a little wonky, but I will say in general, I thought the movie was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I thought it was
yes.
just a beautiful looking movie, like just the shots of space, the shots of the planet, the rings, the station, kind of going for that.
The technology, the sound.
Yeah, like
when the movie started and there was that sound boot up, I was like, oh my God, I'm so in this. Because it was just,
so
it was alien.
Yeah, and going and really making it feel like Alien, and then kind of amping things up in the back half to kind of make it feel more like Aliens, like really kind of doing that. Like again, like maybe a couple homages were too on the nose, but I think in general, like it felt like the world, and it was really beautifully shot, beautifully done. So I do think it deserves a lot of credit for that. And even like the chest bursting scene, which again, iconic part of any movie, like. I think really kind of the extra time that he spent on the xenomorph when it first came out of the chest and really kind of getting in there and seeing it in more detail than we have in the past, like I think did a really, like there was some really, really nice stuff. Like I was like, this movie looks good. So that was definitely on the plus column for me.
I'm also just a sucker for practical effects in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of these were practical and they looked like really, really incredible. And I'm very grateful for that.
I want to talk about that chest burster scene because I know a lot of people were very underwhelmed by it. And I won't lie, when I first watched it, just because it was Fede Alvarez, I was like, oh, I'm kind of upset that we saw 90% of that in the trailer. But
yeah.
But what I loved about the chest burster scene is, first of all, just that little glimpse, that moment when Navarro, I think that's Eileen Wu's character name, Navarro, when she looks at Kay, Isabella Merced's character, and she's like, "Don't let me die." I was like, "Oh God, that's terrifying."
Yeah.
And
it was sad, but also really scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, okay, nothing beats Kane's John Hurt's performance, John Hurt's scene. Like that scene is chilling, terrifying every fucking time I watch it. What I really liked about this is that in Alien, the first one with Kane, it pops out when the alien pops out, it like immediately comes out and is like looking around at them and then like, you know, roars or squeals at them and then runs off. I don't know. It was the first word, but
I also I liked your little like sprinkler, like it came out like a little sprinkler.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I just think Baseball's version.
What I really liked about this is because she like kind of pulled her shirt down, so you saw like the actual like bare skin of it, and you saw. I loved the practicality of it when like the practical effects. You just see it pushing, and then just blows up. And I was like, oh, fuck. And then it was just the fact that it didn't just pop out and look around and like look at Kay and roar at Kay, but it like slowly came out and like stretched a little bit. And I was like, that looks amazing. And I'm going along with what you said about that. It really took its time. You saw a lot of the detail. So a lot of people were underwhelmed with the chestburster scene. I thought it was fantastic. Because, that is something you go into with an alien movie. You're thinking, like, how are they going to do the chestburster scene? How are they going to do it?
Yeah,
and it was great.
Exactly. And then beyond that, I thought, like, look, I actually thought the xenomorph looked great. I 100% agree about practical effects. I think that I love digital effects. I love everything that we can do with digital effects. I think when you lean too heavily on digital effects, you have a movie that kind of feels soulless. Looking at you,
Mhm.
Quantumania. But I think that but I think when you have a good balance, when you try and even like we just finished reviewing all the House of the Dragon season 2 episodes, and they talk a lot about how like they use real fire with the dragons. Like they don't need to. They could do
Oh,
CG fire really easily, but they have these giant CG dragons, but to get the effect right, they have these giant pumps and they are shooting actual bouts of flame because there's just something that you can't match, and that's what makes the dragons feel real. And I think this movie does the same thing. Like enough practical effects are there with the face huggers and the xenomorph and everything else that you're like, okay, this feels grounded and real. And then they use the
yeah,
digital effects when they need to, which I think is the way you should do it.
yeah,
So I liked how the xenomorph was. I wish there had been more cat and mouse with the xenomorph a little bit. Like once he kind of broke out, like he was in his
Yeah.
cocoon, he stabbed, but then he just sort of like the xenomorph was kind of there and then popped up and took people away and then popped out and
yeah,
stared at you. And it just didn't quite feel like there was this cat and mouse, like I'm being hunted as much as there could have been.
yeah.
The scene,
Totally
one
agree.
scene I loved was when Kay was like under the like grating, and the alien just like jumps on it, and she's like sitting there quietly like
Yeah,
petrified. I was on the edge of my seat for that, because I don't know, Michael, did you ever play Alien Isolation, or do you know of it?
I know of it, but I never played it.
So I've played that game like 5 times. I love that game, and that was what I got from this movie. And this movie was heavily influenced by Isolation. Fede Alvarez even came out and said that. He said that he was playing Isolation, realized this universe is still scary. I want to do it. I want to make a movie,
Oh, now you're making me want to go
and
check out Isolation.
it's a phenomenal game. Oh my god. I was going into this movie scared that this was going to be an actual adaptation, and that Rain was going to be Amanda Ripley's daughter, because that's who you play as in
Right.
Isolation. So glad they didn't do that, because Isolation is so good. Leave it alone. Let it be its thing.
Let it
But
exist.
yeah, but I saw the love. I saw Fede Alvarez's love for not only the movies but that game in this movie.
Well, let's jump in. I
So
want to hear. I want to hear your thoughts on the fourth act,
yeah.
Babalion.
So immediately I just thought about the what do you call the white alien in
I call him
Resurrection? What did you
Charlie,
call
the
him?
big white. There's Charlie. It's
Charlie.
Charlie, the big white alien, and then the Babalion. Those are. That's what I.
Right.
That's how I
Okay.
refer to the newborn and the offspring.
Yeah, yeah. So that was the vibe I got, because I think Charlie, the white alien, the newborn, and Resurrection, it's like every time I watch that movie, I forget that that's a thing, and then it gets to that scene when the newborn comes out, and I'm like, "Oh fuck, that's right." Like I
Yeah.
think it's so dumb. I think it looks dumb, like design wise, not practical effects.
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
Studio ADI is amazing, but that was the first thing that I thought of with this movie. I was like, "Oh my god, they're doing another human hybrid alien stupid bullshit again," and I was so pulled out of it. And then I realized that and what I really appreciated Fede Alvarez doing for this movie is because, like I've said a couple of times already, I may not be the biggest fan of Prometheus, but I still enjoy it. Obviously, I like it more than you do. I don't enjoy it as much as some other people, definitely, but I did like that he tied in Prometheus to this in a way that was like, okay,
Yeah.
people's biggest gripe with Prometheus is that it wasn't alien. This movie made Prometheus alien. That's what I appreciated about it. I think we should leave it there, though. I'm done with Prometheus. I just want alien and nothing more. Um, but
Yeah. I don't. When
overall,
they as soon as they brought in the goop. Yeah, as
yeah,
soon as they brought in the goop, I was like, okay, well, we're tying in everything, and here it is. And then with the Babalion, like I will say, her giving birth to a pod, and then that pod having a baby in it, like it was
yeah,
pretty horrific. Like I was like, this is now.
yes,
I mean, like, look, Alien from the something that people don't talk about a lot. Alien as a franchise, as much as it's about xenomorphs and horror and scares and all of these things, like ultimately, Alien is about reproduction and birth. Like it is about like I mean, from Alien being a movie that's like this is about a guy getting assaulted and giving birth and it killing him,
Mm-hmm.
to Aliens
Mm-hmm.
being a movie that at its root is mother against mother. I mean, the Queen Alien
Yes.
with her
Yes.
aliens, and then Ripley and Newt, and then Alien 3 literally culminating in Ripley giving birth to a queen, holding it to her chest as she kills herself. Like it is, and
Mm-hmm.
then Alien Resurrection, whether you like it or not, Ripley has sex with an alien and they give birth to Charlie. And so there it is again. So the fact that we sort of kept that going and you had this weird, creepy birth scene, like I think it again very much fits into the DNA of the franchise. And I actually agree with you, as much as I dislike Prometheus when it came out and it was very clearly sort of a mix between the engineers from the Prometheus movies and an alien, and you're like, okay, I see what this is. I see what you did.
Yes.
Do I think it's as cool as Ripley versus the Queen and Aliens? No. Is it
Not even a
closer
little bit.
to Ripley? Is it closer to Ripley versus Charlie the Big White Alien in Resurrection? Yeah, it's closer to that. But it's better than that, so I'll give it credit there. So I thought it was interesting. I know I see some people just going on and on about how like it's like the greatest thing and they were so it's like the highlight of the movie for them, and I was like, I'm kind of more in camp with you where it happened, and I'm like, all right, this is a little Alien Resurrection mixed with Prometheus,
Yeah.
neither of which is my favorite thing, but cool, cool,
Honestly,
fine.
I
This is
was
an ending.
I was super into it until Rain ran down to the pod and it cracked open. And as soon as I saw a human baby, that's when I was like, oh no. Because up
Yeah.
until, like, honestly, it really just comes, like, it kind of just comes down to the design. If the design was more alien than human, I think I would have really dug it. It was just too human for me that I was like, this doesn't feel like alien. It feels like a creepy pasta.
Yeah, I mean, I think like from a bigger taking a step back from how it looked in my feelings about Alien Resurrection or my feelings about Prometheus, I think that like it seems like there's this a desire to be like, how do I top the things in the other movie and just have this crazy new creature in the final minutes? It's like Alien, the first movie, it was really clear cut. Like I thought that I escaped, and now I'm in this enclosed quarters on this tiny ship, and this creature is in this thing with me. That is horrifying. And
Mm-hmm.
Aliens, I think James Cameron, James Cameron has done a lot of brilliant things. I mean, he's done some dumb things in his writing. You can argue about it all day long, but
Yeah.
of all the things that James Cameron has done that is awesome, the creation of the alien queen is one of the
Oh
coolest
my
things.
gosh.
And
Oh my
again,
gosh.
it's not
Yes.
just that there's this new creature. You get to the end of that movie, and it is the queen being like, "You killed my fucking babies," and Ripley being like, "Get away from my baby." Like it is a badass scene, and there's stakes to it.
Yeah.
Alien 3, David Fincher was like, fuck all y'all, I'm not even taking the bait. But then with Alien Resurrection, it sort of set up this whole like, well, what's the new thing we can create? And you're like, I don't need a new thing. I need something that has a reason for being. Like, I want things that are like complicated. I want things that like I actually care. This was just like, okay, there's a new creature for me to fight. But we didn't, but it was like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, cool. It looks like Prometheus. All right, I guess. But like
Yeah.
it didn't really feel like, aside from here's a new monster that I need to fight, like what are the actual stakes? Like it just felt like, okay, here's my creature that I'm going to fight in the fourth act.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
So it sounds like
Yeah.
I didn't like this movie. I actually really enjoyed it. I had a good time. It's just when you really get into it, breaking down the things that I thought didn't work, and it's like, well, why didn't it work? How could it have been better? But like all in all, like I thought this was a perfectly fun alien movie and a good
Mm-hmm.
time at the movies. Like I had fun.
Yeah.
If this movie popped, if I'm like flipping through like we flip through channels. If I'm flipping through streaming options, nobody flips through channels anymore. But if I was flipping through streaming options and Alien Romulus popped up, I would very easily pop this on and watch it and be like, this was really
Oh yeah.
enjoyable. I had a good time.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, can I say it's like the alien movie we've all been waiting for? No, but it is the most alien feeling movie, and I think that's what we wanted the most because that's what Prometheus and Covenant failed to deliver. I remember when they announced that the sequel to Prometheus was an Alien movie, I was so excited, and then I watched the movie and I hated it.
Oh God, I
I
can't
think
even with those movies.
I know. I'm with you there. I'm honestly, even though you don't like them as much as I do, or I should say, like, I like them a little bit more,
Yeah.
but I'm so glad that you like them less than I do, because I'm so used to talking to people defending those movies, and I'm forced to talk about the good and agree with them. And like, but now I'm so happy you don't like them, because
I will
I
fight.
don't,
I
yeah.
will fight anybody about those movies on
Yeah.
any day of the
I'm not a
week,
fan. I'm
and
not the
twice on
biggest fan
Tuesday.
either.
But I do think, I mean,
Over
when you like, I'm a big fan of franchises in general and big IP.
Sure.
I mean, I love Marvel, I love DC, I love Star Wars, I love Star Trek, I love all these things in the Alien universe and the Predator universe. When I'm thinking about the kind of stories I would want to tell in those universes, or the things that would make me excited as a fan, it's less about what's the cool new thing, and it's all
Mhm.
like the babe alien at the end, and it's more about how do you take the parts of this story and create a new chapter. And kind of, I think the thing that you said that's really smart is the fact that Fede Alvarez got back to like the Weyland Yutani Corporation. I think that the Weyland Yutani Corporation kind of being the ultimate bad guy and wanting this creature and being this corporation that is like just destroying planets, killing their employees, not letting them leave, like that kind of stuff, and what this corporation would do with a creature like that, to me, that's the interesting story. So when you're looking at where these stories should go, as opposed to just sort of, okay, here's another group of people on another spaceship fighting another xenomorph, like that's where I kind of go, well, where does this franchise go from here? What is the ultimate story about humanity
Mhm.
and this horrible corporation that wants this like perfect specimen of a creature that can, is almost indestructible, versus humanity, which is soft and squishy and flawed. Like
Yeah.
that's like interesting to me. So I think coming back to some of the elements that he got back to was smart. And I would love to see if they continue with this franchise. I mean, it did really well and it's continuing to do well. So whether they give Fede Alvarez another movie and we get another chapter of Rain and Andy, or they just go, okay, well, this was a one-off, but we're going to continue the Alien franchise, I think that's where I would love to see it go in the future.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm definitely not done after this one. I definitely still have that itch for more Alien. Overall, I mean, to wrap this up, I definitely have my problems with this movie, but I think the good outweighs the bad. I think when the movie is good, it's fucking good. And I think when it's bad, it's just kind of eye rollers a little bit, nothing too
Yeah.
serious to
Yeah.
ruin the movie.
Yeah.
But I'm like I said, I'm going again tonight, round 2. I'm so excited to go into it with all these new viewpoints that you guys have pointed out, that everyone else on the internet has pointed out. I'll even like message you guys and like right out of the theater, like, yep, it's even better.
Perfect.
Or
I can't
all
wait.
right,
I
I,
can't
I was
wait.
able to pick up more things I don't like. I'll let you guys know as soon as I'm out.
We just get a
Yeah, like
notification that Michael left the group chat.
Yeah, I agree. I
Um,
mean, like this was a fun one to talk with you guys about, and I think it is a
yeah.
solid movie. Like I enjoy it. I think it's a great addition to the Alien universe. I don't think it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. I don't think it blew the doors off for me. There's a lot of things that I think kind of prevented it from being a great movie, but it
Mhm.
is a very solid addition.
And
Totally.
I think this I'm so appreciative of this movie, because everyone who loves it aren't big Alien fans. So it's bringing more people into this franchise. It's bringing more people
Yeah,
into this fan
absolutely.
base, because really the only people that have these issues are people like us that love these movies, that dissect these
Nerds.
movies, that nerds. Yeah.
Nerds.
Right. Yeah. So, Michael, thank you so much for joining us on this. I had a blast talking to you about it. You were the first person that came to mind when Parker said he wants to
Aw.
return to the podcast for this. I was like, we got to have Michael on, because I had just listened to the Aliens episode of Cinephiles, and you love that movie as much as I do. So immediately I thought we have to ask you to come on. I'm so happy that you were able to come on. Parker, any final thoughts?
I liked it a lot. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad Michael exists. Bro, and I'm glad you exist. I'm glad we were able to do this. I don't want to keep Michael for any longer. He's got to charge his AirPods
I
so he
gotta go
can
charge my
do
AirPods, guys. I really screwed up on my AirPod planning for the day. But thank you
Yeah,
guys
That's
so
all
much.
right.
This was
I've been there.
absolutely a blast. I love talking nerdy, geeky movie shit with you guys. So this was great. Thank
Oh
you.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Last but not least, Michael, where can they find you if they want to?
You can find me at MKToon, MKTOON, on Instagram and Twitter, now X, whatever we're calling it. And you can check me out on Geek Buddies every week on the Outlaw Nation
Heck yeah.
podcast channel and YouTube channel with John Roca and Shannon McClung.
Heck
Amazing.
yeah. And check those two beautiful people out. They're two awesome, great guys who have good shit to put out there that you should be listening
They
to and
do.
watching.
They
So,
do. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to take off, but I will talk to you soon.
Bye, Michael.
all
Thank you
right.
so much.
Have a great
good
rest
night.
of your night.
You too. Bye.
Michael Vogel is such a beautiful human being. I really hope that is not the last time we have him on. Thanks again
I
to
doubt it.
Michael. We need to have Shannon on again now. And then
we need John Roca.
John
on,
Roca and Steve Morris.
Dude, I'm
I
saying.
would love to have them on. John, Steve, if you're listening to this, respond to us. Yeah, you never know. I mean,
respond to us. That's
respond
so
to
funny.
us.
Not come on the show. Just fucking text us back about coming on the show, dude.
Just,
At least tell us no.
Verify our existence for us, please.
No, I think that was awesome. I also love Michael Vogel. I think he's a great guy. Definitely, if you don't listen to the Geek Buddies, you should. And if you don't like Alien Romulus, fuck you. How about that?
I understand people's hate for this movie, but honestly, I've
Okay, but hold on,
listened to
I'm
a
gonna-
lot of.
Hold on, wait.
Go,
Let me
go
interrupt
ahead.
you.
Go ahead.
Have you seen Hate? Because I haven't seen Hate.
Yes. No,
Like,
I've seen a few people.
Really?
And honestly, it's just them focusing on the bad and not acknowledging the good. Like they say,
Sure.
they point out all the shit that we've said in this episode, but that not once do they talk about the practical effects, the suspense, the
Gotcha.
tension, the atmosphere. You know, they're just talking about the things that are bad. I'm like, look, I'm agreeing with you that those things were bad, yes, but not enough to make the movie bad. Come on. There are too many good things in this movie. You know, like this movie, even though we've said that this does feel like Fede Alvarez kind of did this with his, you know, he was held back a little bit by the studio or by Ridley Scott, whatever it may be. But despite all that, it still very much felt like a Fede Alvarez Alien movie.
Sure. Yeah. No. Absolutely. I think. I don't know. I understand the. I mean, obviously, I understand the criticism. You and I, with Michael, just criticized it. But I think the negativity is just coming from the good stuff that we liked. None of it was necessarily new. And I think that's a lot of people's issue. Like from what I've seen, like people that I've seen, like some of my friends on Letterboxd gave it 2 or 3 stars, which doesn't mean it's bad. Just like, you know, and a lot of their complaints were what we said, but that
because
the good
movie
stuff
played it safe.
was
The movie played it safe. Yeah,
very safe. And I understand, especially coming from Fede Alvarez, not expecting it to be played safe. So in that regard, I understand, but I gave it a 4 out of 5, and I'm definitely gonna see it again, probably in theaters, because I saw it in IMAX, which fucking blew me away.
It was
looked
amazing.
So
I'm going to see it
Oh my God.
again in IMAX.
I wish every movie came to IMAX, dude. Every movie just
know.
Nope in IMAX was one of the best theater experiences of my life.
That was
Anyway.
amazing. Okay.
And I wasn't even with anybody. Fuck it, whatever. It doesn't matter. We're not talking about that movie. No, IMAX is fantastic. This movie looks fantastic in IMAX. I hope it gets good 4K treatment, because apparently Aliens did not. But that's more James Cameron territory. So I hope it gets. I assume it'll get a physical release. I can't imagine it not getting a physical release, and I'm definitely gonna.
Of course, it's gonna get a physical release.
You never know. Barbarian didn't, and it's
Yeah,
not to
but
say
Barbarian
it's part of a franchise, so you're probably right. You're probably
No,
right.
of course, dude. Prey was a Hulu exclusive, and I own that on 4K.
That's true. But it's I don't know, because Disney's been weird about it recently, and they at the end of the day make the final call about this. But either way, no, I'm so glad we got to talk with Michael about this movie. I'm glad this movie is being seen by a lot of people. It's already blown its budget out of the water.
I think it's at like
I
108
don't,
million just from the weekend.
and it's at like, and the budget was 80 million, so it's probably
Yeah.
about to, if not already break even, and it's only been a few days. So with marketing expenses and whatever. So no, it's doing well. My one question that I honestly forgot to ask Michael, if they do I'm sure they will do another Alien movie. Do you want Fede to do it?
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would like to see someone else just for the sake of, like, Ridley Scott did the first Alien movie, James Cameron did the second Alien movie, and they were two very different movies. I want the next Alien movie to be a very different movie. Honestly, if this is the protege to Alien, because this was more Alien than Aliens, I want the next Alien movie to be a protege to Aliens. I want the next Alien movie. I cannot believe we have not gotten another movie with Colonial Marines. Fucking do it, Disney. Fucking do it. Give me another Colonial Marines movie. It doesn't have to be a copy paste of Aliens. Honestly, fucking take inspiration from the comics. Don't go as weird as some of the comics do. But those comics, like, that's where you go if you want some more Colonial Marines, and some of them are fucking great. I just want to see more in live action movies. And then we are getting that show Alien Earth next year, which I am.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
It's by Noah Hawley, who did Fargo. He wrote and directed the whole show, and I'm not holding my breath on this show. It's just kind of we'll wait and see how it goes. But I definitely am not as excited for that as I was for this. But yeah, and then there's that rumor. I think, did you send it to me about Fede Alvarez and Dan Trachtenberg, the director of Prey? I probably butchered his last name.
I don't think
you didn't send that to me. It's rumored.
I don't think so.
Fede Alvarez said that he would love to team up with Dan Trachtenberg. I really hope I'm not butchering that. To make an Alien versus Predator movie, which I think an Alien versus Predator movie could work. Because again, like I said, look at the comics, look at the video games.
We need more stuff versus other stuff movies, okay? We're
Not
only
just
getting like
Kong
Godzilla versus
Godzilla.
Kong. Yeah, that's all. Like Freddy versus Jason, dude. Give me like what?
Give me Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
Dude, give me Freddy versus the Meg. Fuck it. Give me. Like, I love shit where they're like, do it, But no,
give me John McCain versus the shark from Jaws.
Oh my dude! Honestly, imagine Bruce Willis in Die Hard, like that era, but saying you're gonna need a bigger boat. Like that would be so fucking good. The show, I don't really give a fuck. Like, I'll say it, like, I don't really care about these movies as a franchise.
Just on their own, like, if the movie's good.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
I think you should watch.
Understand it. Go ahead.
I think you should watch Prometheus too, and just watch it as its own thing.
They're all on my watch list. I just am like in no rush. I'm just like, I'll get there. You know what I mean? But because even though I think Alien is a near perfect movie,
it's perfect in my book.
Give the biggest fuck ever. Like, if I never got another Alien movie, I'd be okay. You know what I mean? Like, I'm good with what we've got. I'm not as into it as Star Wars or Marvel, whatever, but I still really like it. So if they do another one, here's okay. Just as quickly as possible, who would you pick to direct the next one if it's not?
I really don't know. I don't know if I would pick Neil Blomkamp, even though he was so close to making it, just because some of the concept art did look a little questionable. But most of it was cool.
Okay. I just got one. It's the protege to Aliens, right? What you want,
right?
Okay. Zack Snyder directs this.
Nah.
What? What do you mean? Why?
Nah. That's not for him.
What?
That's just not him.
I think if he had a really good producer that understood story, it could totally be for him. Because imagine Zack Snyder's movies look so fucking good and have this scope and scale. Imagine that in an Aliens type movie. You know what I mean? Just saying.
I can
just saying.
if I had the time, which I don't right now, but if I had the time, I could probably name you like 5 other people I'd rather have before Zack
Oh
Snyder.
no, totally. I just don't give a much of a fuck to think of anybody else that's not Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have nothing really left to say aside from I liked it.
I really liked it. I can't wait to see it again tonight. Let's wrap this up because I gotta go see it again. So Parker, where can they find you?
See it again. They can find me at Parker McNerney, Blu-ray Daddy, and wherever and anywhere. And if you want to find this podcast, the Flix Capacitor Podcast, FLIX Capacitor. If you don't know how to spell it, it's on you. And bro, where can they find you? Oh, and your YouTube for sure, because you just did videos on these.
Instagram is Bro and the Movie Maker. My TikTok is Bro and the Movie Maker. My YouTube is now Broen's Flicks, or Broen's Films. Sorry, Flix Capacitor. Broen's Films. I rebranded the YouTube channel. I've been consistently posting every week on that, so go check that shit out. I've been posting a couple I posted my Alien ranking where I went even further into depth of what I thought of each movie, and I did my spoiler-free Alien Romulus review. Overall, I think, what is that? Alien Isolation? Download to console? Fuck yeah, do it, dude. It's a fantastic game. I promise you. And my Letterboxd is just my name, Broen, Broen. Check it out.
Yeah, Letterboxd for me, I think it's just Parker McNerney. If you don't know how to spell it, it's probably in the description somewhere, whatever. We need to convince one of the Geek Buddies we've had on the show at least to get Letterboxd. I would love to see Michael Vogel's Letterboxd reviews.
Yeah.
I'm saying.
All right. Well,
but anyway,
I gotta skedaddle skadoodle. So thank you so much for listening.
Wait, what?
Skedaddle skadoodle, your dick is now a noodle.
Yeah, dude, what is that? Why do I know that? What is that from?
I don't know. If you know,
anyway,
let us know.
It doesn't matter.
Let
us know in the comments. Everyone, go watch Alien again.
I will. Everyone, take care of yourselves. Read the Bible. Drink some booze. Get in the car.
Take some LSD and then read the Bible. It'll probably be way more fun.
Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Check out Michael's stuff. Check out Geek Buddies. Check out Cinephiles. Check out Shannon McClung, John Roca, Steve Morris.
Everything.
Love them all. Love you. Bye.
Bye.